Hey everybody, HonestlySarcastc here with Tuesday's Chess Day and the Hyperloops. Once again, having some internal issues and stuff with the Tuesday's Chess Day stuff. Still haven't figured out all the kinks yet, but we're going to come up with some news with the potential changes that are happening. Currently just not sure if to run on my own or maintain the same YouTube or not, but I'll definitely update you guys from there, and even if I go to my own personal or to my other team page, then I'll still be posting here to make sure that you guys are in the update in the know of the movement. So oddly enough, because I came in late for this, we actually have a new reveal from the new expansion prior to the launch for Legends of Runeterra. So let's just get started. I'm not going to play out the video. Most of you guys have probably seen it by now, but if you need to go look for it, it's at twitter.com/playruneterra. I'll have the link in the notes, but let's get this going here. So first off, we get Quinn. 5 costs, 3/4 champion for Demacia. It's like, okay, 3/4, you know, what is it going to really do? Like, and when it's summons a Valor. Okay, we don't know what that is yet, right? And when I've seen you attack 4 times is for the level up. It's like, wow, like attacking 4 times, meaning even if you have the odd, it's 5, 7, 9, and then essentially 11, right? Like that's a long amount of time. But we do see a new text here, Scout. So the real question is, what is Scout and what is Valor? So Scout is actually a new keyword. The first time only Scout units attack each round, you ready your attack. Hold on, something messed up with this. This did not switch over to Chrome for some reason. My apologies about that. I don't know what is up with my system for that. But Scout's a new keyword. First time only Scout units attack each round, ready your attack. And this is Quinn, which I was reading and talking about as I, somehow didn't have my system update and fix that. I got rid of all that ugly purple stuff from before. Figured I'll just come in small. No one really cares what I kind of look like, but I know, make them facial expressions. Sometimes you guys enjoy that. But anyways, so yeah, now we know that Scout is that the first time only Scout units attack, you get ready to attack again. It's like, wow, okay, in a situation where you're playing against like Control, let's say you hit Quinn, you hit Valor. We have to go see where Valor is, but assuming it also has Scout, we get to attack. And then if it's clear, we get to attack again. So there's some interesting things there with Scout units. It's going to be based on like how many Scout units we get. There's a mini rally based on only attacking with Scout units. So even if we're only like a half and half deck or something, if there's a reason to only attack with Scout units, like you're just not going to get blown out of the water with them being used up, like that's kind of a severe positive that you get your kind of first attack phase with them, and then you get a second attack phase after. So that's really interesting. If we go over, we have flipped Quinn. So got a +1/+1 on each of the stats, and now each time it attacks, it summons a Valor, and it challenges the strongest enemy. So it's like, okay, let's see what Valor is and whether this makes sense or not. But knowing that Scout can allow you to attack multiple times now pretty much means that if we play Quinn on 5 and we attack twice, and then on 7 we attack twice, she's going to flip. She's going to flip in the middle of the second attack. So overall, that's an interesting concept as a whole. But now we have Valor. We see it. It's got Challenger and Scout itself, so the Scout is relatively sweet. 2-drop 2/1. If we kind of think of it as Fleet Feather Tracker, which is the 1-cost 2/1, but you have to summon another unit in order to give it Challenger. It's relatively similar in that regard, but it added on the Scout, and in general, Quinn summons it. So Quinn's a 5-drop 3/4. We get a 2/1 on top. So it's almost as if Quinn was a 5-drop 5/5, even though the stuff is split. The main differential here is that if an opponent has some big unit that's like a 5/2 or something, they got damaged part of the way, Valor gets to go and kill it, and then Quinn gets to just push in. So next up, we have a new slow spell, Blinding Assault. It's slow, summons a Valor. So essentially, this is another copy of Valor. I don't know if Valor is going to be a regular unit capable of being played in the deck, but we do have some Control decks that want to play spells that turn into units to kind of make things easier for like Karina Veraza, or if you have like Heimerdinger, You know, you can get the extra turret from this, or Lux, so she can try to get to a fleeting, even though she needs obviously 4 more. But a 2-drop 2/1 tracker off of a spell is pretty solid. Then from there, we have 4 additional cards. We have GREATHORN Companion, 5-drop 4/5 with Scout. So if you guys remember, the Elnuck from Freljord is a 4-cost 4/5 blank text. So you're paying 1 extra essentially for the Scout, but you know that's relatively good. Something like on average, what if you're seeing Demacia? You know, Garen's gonna come down as a 5/5, but the stats are big enough where if you're getting like a rally out of it, you were only short 1 attack from kind of your overall expectations, meaning that this is potentially a really good card, especially against control. You play it on 5. If they don't have a guy to like trade and kill with it, or like a spell to just one-shot it, then you get the jam in twice. Like that could be worth 8 damage on that round, which is just kind of disgusting. Or if you sneak it in at the end of their 5, right? Then go to yours and just open attack, you get your additional attack in as well. So lots of sneakiness there. We get Grizzled Ranger, 4-drop 4/1 Scout. Last breath summons a Loyal Badger Bear. We're gonna have to see what the Loyal Badger Bear is to see if this makes sense, because realistically he's gonna trade with anything. He could trade with pretty much any 1-drop unit, and that's kind of concerning. But you know, it's a free attack with the Scout, so you can, you know, jam in, get the bear, and then potentially attack again, depending on what we find out that the bear is, right? So I think as a whole, this unit's pretty solid. If you're going the Scout package, you want to get those additional attacks, or you know, once again, that thing where like if you're playing into an opposing control deck and you have this available, or even if you're playing against like an aggro deck, right, and they only have the 1 unit out, you being able to attack right away and get another attack phase after is pretty good, especially since the way that attack phases work, you'll attack, now your opponent has priority. If they go and they play a guy, now you could play another guy, or play like a spell and kill that, and then swing again. So there's a lot of potential from Scout, and this is gonna kind of Scout. I could see Scout being that thing that messes with control if they don't have enough removal, right? Because sometimes there's times where like you'll be playing control and you'll just be like, all right, well I'll take the damage, but you can't sit there taking double damage from Scout units. Like everything we've seen so far was mildly disgusting. They were a bit overpriced in concept. Like they don't come down on like turn 2, right? Besides regular Valor, but if on 4 you're taking 8, 5 you're taking, you know, big chunks like that, because we saw that Quinn was a 3/4 and Valor was a 2/1. Like if Quinn comes down on 5, you have no answer, and then they smash you. Because I don't know, let's say you wanted to play like a progress day or something, like that's largely problematic. We have a 3-drop 2/2 GREENFANG Warden. We get Barrier plus Scout. This one's interesting, right? Because like we have a 2-drop 3/2 that gives one of our other guys Barrier. And this kind of reminds me of old Hearthstone, where you would have, man, I want to say it was Divine Warden, but it was Argent Protector. And he came in with like Argent Protector was a 1/1, I think. I don't know. I just remember there was guys that came in with the Divine Shield, and they were like a little annoying because you didn't want to block them. It was kind of like a waste, especially if your health doesn't just heal up automatically at the end of the round. So this is probably one of the decent aggressive cards. You can, if your opponent plays a unit, then you play it like they don't really want to swing into it, and it sets you up to kind of swing back. But the problem is he is very small on your own round if you played it on their 3 and then go into yours, right? The 2/2 dies to most things. So this will be interesting to see kind of what happens with that. But it is an elite, so if there's any Battlesmith setups you're trying to do, also the I can't remember the names. The 5-drop 5/4. That when it dies, it pulls an elite in your hand, now gets a new option to give you like weaker things. So we'll see how that kind of plays out. But we are seeing a curve, right? You can go Valor into GREENFANG, into Grizzled Ranger, into Quinn. So you could curve out with Scout units. And here we go, Loyal Badger Bear. So Loyal Badger Bear is a 4/4. This is actually pretty disgusting when you think of it in terms of overall value, right? Because this guy's essentially not going to have cost anything, meaning that we're going to get pretty much a 4 cost worth of stats, right? Like Chump Bump used to be a 4/4 and get us 2 cards. You could always obviously think of it as bigger than a regular 3-drop, because those maxed out at like 3/3s or 2/4s or 4/2s. Callista's technically a 4/3, but Stat wise, it's gonna beat a lot of things in that early consideration. I'm gonna assume that this isn't an actual unit you could just straight up cast. It comes off of the Grizzled Ranger. But from a stat perspective, it's like, okay, Grizzled Ranger was a 4-drop 4/1, and it gives you a 4/4. So if you play the Ranger on 4, swing, you scout. If they trade with it, you get a 4/4 to swing with it after, right? Like that's pretty good. If you kind of think about the cursed guy from Shadow Isles, I'm sorry, my naming sense and remembering these are just terrible right now. Is a 2-drop 1/1 that can't block, and when it dies, it summons a 4/4. So like now you're getting a 4-drop. You're getting the 3 additional. So you're paying 2 additional. You're getting 3 additional attack. You have the scout ability. It's like, you know what? That's really strong, and he can block. So I can play him on 4. They swing. I block and kill a big guy. I have a 4/4 now. Like this is a lot of body for the cost. We'll see how this kind of pans out. But like because he can die to like pretty much any unit, you know, if you trade off a spider with it, then it's like, okay, you know, they paid 4 for a 4/4 and my spider. So it's like, yeah, whatever. But the whole scout setup is still interestingly disgusting there. But that was the last of the preview cards for what we've seen right now. So I think I'm going to be a little bit afraid of some of that stuff, right? I think being able to play Valor, if your opponent goes and plays a guy while like you're trying to set up like the spell mana setups, is pretty good, especially if you draw it later, right? Because there are just situations where you'll have banked some early mana and then go into like a round and 5, and like now you could be like, all right, let me play Quinn and then like another Valor, or you know, like a Garen and then the Valor off of the spell. So it's like, okay, you know, there's a lot of interesting concepts there. We'll see what else comes out. But all of these cards, for the most part, seemed pretty good. I think the 3-drop 2/2 with Barrier is one of the weirder of the available options. But it does come down early, and it has the availability to kind of just attack in multiple times. So if you play any sort of permanent pump on it, that's going to be pretty good. Like, right, if you play Battlesmith and you Battlesmith into a GREENFANG Warden, he's going to be a 3/3. With Scout and Barrier when he comes in, and like that's really large. And the fact of the matter is that Barrier is going to stick for the first round. So if you are on odds, then you're like, all right, you know, GREENFANG Warden, here's a 3/3 swing. Are you going to block it? Because I'm going to be able to swing again after. So are you going to take 6 off of my 3-drop? And like that's like, oh wow, that's, you know, pretty good. If you play it on your 3 as a 2/2 and you swing, doing 4 is probably fine as well. Someone in theory could go and, you know, trade off their 3/3 by like banging into him. Barrier falls off. If he swings again, like you trade and move on with life. And that's probably acceptable if you're playing this. The main concern is just that if you play it on their turn and you stop their attack, right, what is he really worth at that point? Or if you play it on your turn and you do 4 damage, how much was that 4 damage worth? But overall, I really do like the new cards they're doing. You know, we're always concerned about power creep and stuff, and any sort of like rally type effects were always kind of scary. So we'll definitely kind of see how that goes. But let's talk about meta. Game-wise, I want to start getting a bunch of games in, so I'm going to try to pack it into my schedule to get at least like an hour's worth of gaming in. For Legend of Runeterra each day, so that I can like have you know, kind of data for you guys, and gameplay videos, as well as like, this is how I want to play this specific match, this is how I would mulligan. And I'll try to I'll mess up my rank and not bat an eye and just play whatever. Like I'll probably stick between S and A tier stuff because I don't want to play like terrible things. Right now I don't think I'm in the position to go and try to craft a new meta deck. But I do want to bring Heimerdinger back, especially with these Ezreal Karma, Nox Ezreal control decks, and Bannerman. I think Heimerdinger was always just in a really good place against a lot of those matches. There are concerns here about, like, you know, thermos and get excited mystic shots killing him right away. But I think the overall value and potential is there, and realistically it's Karma, because Karma carries the end game, and Heimerdinger gives you a position from the middle game where if your opponent doesn't have an actual answer for him, they're just in a really, really troublesome spot. So I think we're going to try to bring that deck back and see how it goes, since the meta is kind of like toning down quite a bit from some of the decks that were like largely problematic. Which was pretty much like the old Elnuk stuff. But, you know, like I said, I had stopped messing around with a lot of that stuff. All right, so Meta-wise, there's not a large adjustment. Mobalytics tier still showing mid-range Bannerman and Ezreal Karma and Nox Ezreal as the S tiers with Karina Control. They showed Karina Control earlier as being S tier, so no difference in expectations here. They're the same lists. Now the big thing is that a lot of the time Mobalytics it's not slow on the uptake. It's more like lagging, right? Like you're gonna see streamers playing new stuff, and then if they spit hot fire, jam into first, they're crushing really well. You're gonna see it kind of slowly make its way up the ranks. So Mobalytics will take the data that they got and then move the S tier stuff around, but because they're doing it off of like future data they're getting, it tends to be much slower. You're getting it kind of later. So Kinkolusas made their way down, Endor moved down a bit, Spooky Karma moved down, Spider Aggro, Bruised by Gods, Freljord SI mid-range. So we got here. Yeah, this is like a different variation, like no Elises. It's a big Tryndamere deck. 2 drops all get wrecked by like 1 health things, but they set you up in a good place probably, potentially versus Demacia. Vile Feast, super tight. Grasp's really good. Vengeance, that like you're guaranteed to go get your karma kills, right? So the removal suite here is very nice, and the Atrocity to be able to go and get a kill off of Tryndamere or Thresh once you've gotten to the low enough amounts, and not Atrocity off Thresh, but Thresh pulls the Tryndamere and throws it, because like if you throw the 8, he'll flip into the 9/9. So you could be looking at a potential of up to 17 damage there, which is disgusting. Or, Tryndamere hits them for 8 or something, and then you just heave them at their head. And, like, you probably would have gotten damage earlier, not to mention if Avaros and Hearthguard pumped them at all. I haven't seen Warm Weather Control in a long time, to be honest with you. Like, I know I have to talk about it all the time. I don't get to play a ton, but I definitely haven't seen a lot of this any sort of recently. I'd be interested to see if it's still doing really well or not. I got to go look at the list on Reddit and see if they have an update. I actually completely forgot to check Mobalytics to see if they output new data, because we are on the 7th, and I think around the 5th would have been the expectation when they popped it out. But for me, the last few days have been kind of like a complete blur. But past that, I do know of another deck making the rounds. Let me see if it's in here. All right, so it's not in there. There's a Lux Shen deck making the rounds. From my understanding, the Twin Suns guys did it. I can't exactly remember their the Twitch, but I know it's Twin Suns. There should be a way to look for it. I can give me a second. Let me. I want to get you guys this link. I can look for it later. I just wanted to get you the name if I could, because I think giving new streamers kind of like a shout out is pretty good. And let's see if it's anywhere on Swim's list. No, just Thresh Lux. So yeah, there's actually a Shen Lux deck making the rounds. I know the guy made it pretty high. I want to say he got it to at least like top 10, and I think he was trying to make a run for first. So the deck was obviously operating pretty well. The normal barrier stuff. Swing out and crush people, and then you could actually do the barrier swap card to make sure you got in like uncontested somewhere, or if you needed to protect a guy because it swapped them, you were in a good spot. All right, but that's all I have for right now. Like I said, on Swims, there's not much of a change. It's matching up. Bannerman, Karma Ezreal, Nox Ezreal. On Mobalytics, it was actually the Deny version that they had Bannerman at the top. This version's the version with House Spider. I think what I want to start doing is just kind of breaking down these decks and look for similarities for the variations that are based on the types, right? Like if you compare a bunch of mid-range decks to an aggro deck, things are going to look weird. But if you just compare the mid-range decks to themselves, we'll probably be able to notice some things. So we're just like, okay, this is the curve that they have that you're normally seeing. Same thing if you do combo decks. Like this is kind of like the expected like control package, or these are like copies of things you're seeing, or roles that are commonly played. Like, oh, they have 15 of this removal role, right? Things like that. So start looking forward to seeing some of that stuff. It's going to be a slow process for me. We still don't have the RSS feed. There was a complication that came up, but then like we're running into some other stuff where since we've lost some of the participants of Tuesday's Chess Days podcast. So I'm gonna see if I can get stuff going. If not, the Hyperloops has an RSS feed, and I'll see if I can kind of piggyback on that to get the thing situated. Doing my best. If you guys have suggestions or things you're looking for, even if you just want to say, hey, get the audio only files, or like get on Spotify or the podcasting stuff, just let me know. Like just say it again, just push it, and I'll definitely do my best to get it going. I myself just restart up online college since Corona, we're stuck at home and whatnot. I wanted to finish my accounting degree. And right now is a really good time to do it. So I've actually been doing about a week's worth of stuff each week. I started April 1st. On the 6th, I actually completely finished one of my courses. Got the final done and got an 88%. So I've passed and that one's done. I got 21 left to go. But, if we count the number of weeks that is, that's like a 5 to 6 month project, right? But like I said, I do want to squeeze in about an hour of gaming, Legend of Runeterra, so I can kind of keep up to date with what's going on, as well as kind of see like the newer stuff and keep you guys caught up to what's going to be popping up soon, right? Because if I'm only talking about this old data, right, how far behind are you guys, right? You're just like, if you copy any of these lists, like you're running into newer stuff, you're like, what the heck is that? What's going on? And then hopefully with that, I can actually just start jamming in. I know I've been saying the same stuff over and over, but I'm going to actually just schedule an hour in. I might do it on mornings. I'll record. I'll throw the entire video unedited up on the page, so there's stuff to look at, and I'll kind of give my breakdowns or thoughts on stuff. At the beginning, I might consider just copying lists and playing, and then I'll probably completely trash them and like hate parts of them and break it down and build my own. But like I said, I want to mess with Dinger. I love the Dinger play, and we're seeing a lot less of the board wipe options kind of from these decks, because we're seeing a little less of Shadow Isles. Like they're a bit lower in the tiers. In the tier 1s, we're not seeing Shadow Isles, so there's going to be less Withering Rail and less Ruination, meaning that I'm in a much clearer path for Heimerdinger. So we'll see. Thanks for listening. Thanks for watching. I'll try to get a couple of the other guys from the casts back on if possible. If not, from there, I'll probably see if I can just start bringing in some interesting people to kind of talk to, or just people I know from other games, and hear their thoughts on stuff. So, let me know, and thanks for watching. You guys have a good one. And never forget, don't skip chess day. Screwed it up. Sorry, guys. Just don't forget, never skip chess day. I'm sorry. Don't cut me. All right, peace out, guys.